So thank you very much, Sangy, for joining us today. If you could just start by telling us a bit about how you got into cricket as a coach and who you actually coach at the moment.
Thanks, Cassie, for inviting me along. A pleasure to be here. I got into cricket coaching because back in 2017, after England women won the World Cup, there was a softball festival at my son's cricket club. And initially, I really didn't want to play. I just thought, oh, yeah, that's fine. That's great. Ladies are doing something, but let's walk away. But my husband sort of said, no, here's the trainers, have a go. And then when I started playing in the softball festival, I just remembered how much I loved being in the game. I hadn't played for more than a decade. I guess being a mum, I'm in that kind of mode and mindset that actually sports and all the other activities are for my kids now. I've had my time at university and just before I got married and had kids, so my time's over. But no, I just decided that I loved it and I wanted to go back into the game. But when I did look around, I noticed there were only 2 girls playing cricket with the boys. There were no females at all, no women playing cricket. And I guess I wanted to make a change. So that's where I kind of thought, right, I'm going to set the women and girls up here. But there's just one problem. I was not a coach. I don't have a coaching background. My background's actually in commercial and business. But I guess when I looked around and when we were having discussions about setting up a women and girls game, and it was all about men sort of talking about how we're going to do women and girls, I thought, well, actually, we really ought to have more female coaches on board. And that's when I sort of put my hand up and said, I'm going to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to have a go anyway. I have knowledge of the game, but being a coach is different.
Yeah, and how important is it, do you think, for women and young girls to actually have a dedicated women's side as opposed to just playing boys cricket? Do you think that provides a really good level of support for women and girls?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I played cricket, I used to play with my dad. I was a tag along in my dad's team. In fact, and I did play with boys. I did play with men. I didn't really care. But I guess when I look at myself as a personality, whether as a boy or girl, it didn't bother me. And I guess when you look at a lot of girls out there, there are some girls that are a little bit like me. But then I think there are a lot of girls that are not like me that actually don't feel comfortable being around playing with the boys or playing with men. And actually having set up a women and girls section at my club, that's why it's been such a success, because it is very driven by females, and it just makes that environment just much more comfortable for girls that want to play with other girls, really.
Yeah. And was it hard initially to find other women's sides, or were there plenty nearby, or did you find yourself having to travel quite far to find other women's sides to play?
I mean, there's a few now. I mean, it's. I can see it's getting better. So you're getting more and more coming a little bit more localized. But yeah, there were some. For example, our club is in Harrow, but then we'd get invited to sort of the deep roots of North London. I think, gosh, that's a good 50 minutes away to drive just to go and play a game of cricket. But it is getting better, and actually, because our section has developed so well and we're getting more and more women, we're getting more and more girls, there's just plenty of opportunity even to play amongst ourselves, really. But I am starting to notice that actually the game is actually starting to get closer and closer rather than further and further like it was before.
Yeah, that's good to hear, definitely. And what barriers have you noticed as a coach that prevent women and girls from getting involved in cricket?
I think there's been a lack of female role models, maybe a coach workforce that's male, or perhaps some women who feel really uncomfortable having male coaches. But I think also visibility of a game, traditionally, it's not really been there. So even someone like myself, who's a female advocate of the game, my favourites are David Gower, Kapil Dev and Arjuna Ranatunga, because I didn't grow up with seeing cricket played by females, either internationally or county-wide. But that's really changing now. And if you type into social media, hashtag Women's Cricket Month, you'll see the campaign that the ECB launched last September to celebrate women in the game. And it was so huge that Twitter even created an emoji for hashtag. So I guess visibility is there is an issue. I think the perception that cricket is for boys and men, because the language that has been out there is that catchphrase that cricket is a gentleman's game. And that's a work that all of us in cricket are working on to change that mindset and mentality for everyone to be able to say cricket is a game for me or cricket is a game for all. And I guess there's also the perception that cricket is played with special equipment like pads and a hard ball. And once a ball hits you, it really hurts. But there's so many different formats of game, and people have often seen images of men maybe in whites in Test cricket, and it's kind of projected an image for cricket, but that is the game, that's cricket. And there are so many other formats of the game. But interestingly enough, when you do watch cricket, whether it's T20 or Test cricket, there are large numbers of audiences that are female that watch these matches and have an interest in the game. But I think it's just a general awareness. So I feel at present, interest for women is there, but perhaps they're not aware of the opportunities that are available for them to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. And how important I mean, you touched upon role models then. Do you think you've seen a change in the girls that are coming through your sort of club pathway, in the fact that they maybe do perhaps have those female role models that, if we're talking about, like you said, that perhaps you didn't have when you were younger?
Yeah, it's hugely important. So whether it's coaching or umpire or scoring or being a team manager, I think it unconsciously becomes a more positive experience of a game. Because I'm a firm believer of you can't be what you can't see. And when there's a lack of female role models, it's harder for those inspiring girls to, stick their hand up and say, cricket is a game for me.
Yeah, and what would you say to those women and girls who are perhaps thinking about joining a cricket club but are worried because of lack of experience, or they have insecurities around body image? How would you try and encourage those women and girls to actually take the step and join a local team?
Well, I'd say firstly, the game, cricket in itself is such a community orientated game, and communities open their arms to everyone. That's just the nature of communities. So I'd probably say take the open invite and give it a go. You never know what will happen, but with community, what happens? You have people. With community comes people, and you'll always be surrounded with people if you need support. And everyone's at a different level of playing in cricket clubs, and cricket clubs know this and they expect it too. So any level of experience is always welcome. So I'd probably say don't hesitate and give it a go. Some cricket clubs, I guess my advice when I set up the women and girls section is I did some research that showed that women don't actually like to play in whites because of transparency of the color, I suppose. It's a little bit more body fitting. You can kind of see your image a little bit, your silhouette. It's probably defined a little bit more. And I think obviously there is that sort of subject as well during the month of, if you are on your period, for example, that, oh, am I going to have a leak? So I guess one of the things I did was to have colored kit, and it's always been colored kit. So our girls, I think they're used to school uniform. I think women are used to wearing tracksuit in different color, that they actually put that on and they don't think twice about uniform anymore.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, actually. And is there anything else that you've noticed, like what you've just said then, that has become more apparent as you actually set up the women and girls side, things that you needed to consider to make the space a bit more inclusive? Was there anything that came up from that?
Yeah, I guess, like I said, creating more opportunities for women to get involved. So, for example, for matches, I've asked mums to be team manager, and I guess they're trying to take safeguarding into account. So, for example, when the girls are putting their pads on, or the thigh pad, for example, they're not really going to be comfortable with X, Y, and Z's dad sort of hovering over. So I've kind of created those sort of positions so mums can take on those roles. And I know I've had a fair few mums saying, I don't know anything about cricket. I don't know what I need to do in this match. What do I need to do? I've kind of created a little bit of a training program, but the whole emphasis is actually you don't need to know about the game. It's just be you and handle the logistics of a game. And I guess it's that mother's touch, isn't it? In a way, it's like go and mother the girls without mothering them on the pitch. So don't tell them what to do on the sidelines, but at least go and support. Just how you would normally support your own child, just do the same thing as a team manager on the sideline. And it's been pretty successful.
And are there any women that have really got involved with your club and have helped you to create a really inclusive environment?
Oh, definitely. So I'd probably call out the team managers that helped out last summer, actually. So that's Alka, Natasha, Jaya, Rachel, Manjali, they all got involved, not necessarily having that much of a depth for cricket compared to myself, who's actually a qualified coach, but they were just brilliant. They were just so supportive of girls on the sidelines during matches, encouraged them. I've never heard so many mums scream so loud on the sidelines. I think they can outdo the dads, to be honest. But just being there, I think it also created a bond between their own daughters. I know when some of them actually came on to do these roles, the daughters were like, "Oh no, mum, what are you doing?" But actually, when they were there, you could see secretly they were pleased that, yeah, I'm glad my mum's here and my mum is cool. So I'm trying to get more ladies actually involved this summer. In fact, Alka is going to be managing on my behalf to get more mums involved in any shape or form. I think we've been quite lucky. You've got to see this COVID experience as a positive life as well, because a lot of things have actually reverted to online training. So for example, scoring and umpiring. So my ambition, I'd love to see more mums coming on and scoring, more mums coming on and umpiring. Not that men can't help. I think it's great that you have dads that are so supportive, and I think it's so important. But this is about trying to create that environment and a really positive space for all girls, all women. And you never know, I think these mums are going to set up their own mums team as well fairly shortly.
And also, what important skills can cricket teach young people?
So I often tell parents of girls that join my club that they're not just going to have a bat and ball in their hand. The game teaches you a lot of valuable skills in life. It's a platform for developing social skills, for cohesion, being in a team environment, leadership skills, confidence, respect. I could sit here all day and talk about it, but there's so many positive skills that girls can pick up and take anywhere in life, whether it's at university or corporate role or becoming an entrepreneur, anything that they want to achieve in life. And actually, Cassie, I'll talk about one of the things that I coach. I actually coach girls to Mankad. And I've often been questioned by a few parents like, Sangy, why are you teaching them this? Why are you coaching them this? And I say to them, this is not about winning the game. This is not about taking wickets. What I want these girls to learn through Mankadding is that the rule is there, and that's the way the game is meant to be played. And I guess I've taught the girls that if that happens to you, go and speak to the umpire and say, excuse me, this is a little bit unfair. Could you please sort this out? And don't do anything on the first strike. But then after that, if a person continues to come out of their crease, then go ahead and clip the bails or mankad them. And then parents often say, well, what relevance is that? And I say, because actually what you're teaching these girls is that you're teaching them to be respectful, that actually, yeah, please play by the rules, but then you're also teaching them to stand up for themselves, that actually when something goes against them, that no, they're not going to accept that situation. They are going to fight for their rights and they are going to stand up for what is right. So that's one of the reasons why I coach to Mankad.
And as a cricket coach, how do you think more women and girls can be encouraged to get involved in cricket?
I'll start with the girls first. There's such a clear pathway into the girls' game now. So ECB run national programs across the country. So you've got All Stars cricket for the 5 to 8 year olds, and you've got Dynamos cricket that's launching this year actually for 8 to 11 year olds. And if you're new to cricket, I'd say give it a go. The beauty of those programs is that they're developed so parents can get involved. So if you have a girl that may be shy or not 100% sure on a first session, the mum can partake and get involved. I mean, obviously subject to COVID restrictions, but the general aim is that parents should be part of their children's first experience. And research has shown that children have a lifelong love of sport when associated to a positive interaction with parents. So it's creating memories. So if you are a mum who's never played cricket or doesn't know anything about it, it's a safe space to get involved with these programs and for mum to get involved as well. So these are cricket-based games, and I'm pretty sure all mums can play games with their kids, whether you have a knowledge of cricket or not. It's about playing games with your children. And with women, I'd probably say try and find a local club or one within your region that has a women's section and give it a go. Formats of cricket have evolved, and playing cricket isn't necessarily just in pads and helmets and playing with a hard ball. There's softball cricket, which is really fun and social, and there's lots of other offerings that clubs do as well. So for example, I've heard of Bolly cricket, which is a combination of Bollywood music and hit hit fitness sessions. I've heard of glow in the dark cricket, Prosecco cricket. So there's lots of variations out there. And also what you have to remember, women and girls sections have been set up to welcome women and girls into the game, regardless of experience or knowledge. So if you have one in the local club, that is your invitation to the club. And that is the club saying that's your invitation. We want women and girls to come through. So my general advice is just give one season a go. And when I say one season, that's a summer. Just give one summer a try. And you'll know if it's for you. And you never know, it could be a life-changing opportunity for you and present you with other opportunities that you never knew existed.
Definitely. And how can we make cricket a more welcoming space for women and girls?
Cassie, let's not get me started on toilet talk here, but generally speaking, ensure your facilities are good enough for females, because I'm not a fan of going to a toilet with your urinal at the other side of your club. So try and take steps to adapt. And more than anything, I think put the cricket aside a little bit, but being welcoming and friendly, because the environment's so crucial. And if you get that right, everything else falls into place. So just open your personality, whether you're introvert or an extrovert. I would probably say come out of your comfort zone and be kind to others. Just be welcoming to whoever comes through the doors.
And also, who influenced you to get involved in coaching women's cricket?
Interesting enough, apart from my husband saying give it a go, start this journey, I'd probably say some of the men at my club. So specifically Suk Bhupal, when opportunity came for me to do my level 2, he's like, Sangy, you should really do this. And I said, no, let me gain a little bit more experience on the field first, just by shadowing and just learning offhand first before I do this. And he really encouraged me and said, no, do you know what? Just give it a go. You'll be fine. I believe in you. I know you can do this. And I went ahead and did this. And I guess that's probably my coaching journey. But I guess the women and girls setup in general, we've got the chair of cricket committee, and that's a guy called Manoj Mishra. He's been excellent. So any kind of support, can I have an extra pitch for this day because I'm doing this initiative, or, I'm having a few issues here. Could you help and support? It's really important that that it's balanced as well, because although I love to talk about female role models and getting more females into game, it's so important that the men are engaged in this journey as well, both from a support perspective and just generally just nice to have the men sort of say, wow, look what your girls have done, this is amazing. So our under 12 girls last year won the league. They won all games, and it was just so nice to hear how proud of the women and girls section they really were. So yeah, that's hugely important.